You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Young and the Restless fans. Today we're going to look at everybody who left Y&R this year in 2024. From Heather to Tucker, Cameron, and more, it's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and I'm going to take you through exits big and small and the ones you might not have missed at all. And hey, if you are not subscribed, please click that button. All right, let's start in early 2024. Tricia Cast was last seen as Nina Webster this spring when she showed up to talk to Chance about his dissatisfaction with corporate life. She's not been seen since March. And Connor Floyd, by the way, has been dropped from contract to recurring, and he's not seen very much these days either. Brian Gaskell played Seth Morgan, that friend of Nikki's from AA that Jordan was manipulating while running around Genoa City in disguise. But Seth died in March when Jordan pushed him under the proverbial bus. Although it was technically a car, she shoved him in front of so that he wouldn't reveal her scheme or identity. It was in spring that we said goodbye to the delightful Trevor St. as Tucker McCall. He was last spotted in Paris in June, faking a heart attack to try and delay the board vote on the takeover of Glissade from the mystery investor backing Audra, who turned out to be, of course, Victor Newman, although in Tucker's last episode, he accused Jack Abbott of sabotaging him. I really miss Tucker. Trevor St. John was always lots of fun. Another big June exit was Veronica Redd as Mamie Johnson. She was written out with no fanfare, and the plot of her buying into Chancellor Winters and then conspiring against Jill Abbott was pretty pointless in the end, and it just fizzled right out. It was nice to see Mamie, but the storyline wasn't great to start with and then was just abandoned. Elizabeth Hendrickson was dropped from contract to recurring as Chloe Mitchell, and she only had about 6 episodes total in 2024. She was last seen in September at a random business meeting. That was one with Chelsea and Sally and Summer, and then just come and gone, and they just don't have a lot of storyline for her, and Greg Rickhart isn't around to play her better half because he's on contract over at Days. The big exit in September, though, that we're still talking about was, of course, Val Bloom as Heather Stevens when Sharon supposedly murdered her in cold blood and then wrapped her up in a sheet and dumped her body in the river. And it turns out it wasn't Sharon who killed Heather, but it was a slaying done on Ian Ward's orders, presumably as revenge on Heather's dad, Paul, who Ian has despised for many years. And we did get another Val Bloom scene on Halloween as a ghostly Heather haunting Sharon. And then recently, some flashbacks to the night Heather died, showing Sharon did not do the deed. And, you know, Sharon's probably going to get away with this, although she did dump her body, which was pretty terrible. And I do wonder if we may indeed get some more flashbacks of Heather before all is said and done. But Val Bloom's official exit was in September 2024. In October 2024, we saw the last of Michael Damian as Danny Romalotti. He had less than 25 episodes total this year on Young and the Restless, and he left town to resume his Rock On tour, and then was spoken to off-screen as he agreed to have granddaughter Lucy Romalotti join him to get her away from the scrutiny when his son Daniel was suspected of Heather's murder before, Sharon confessed inaccurately, but still. And Lucy is back in town now, and Christine and Danny will be back for New Year's celebrations, and then will likely exit again, but we'll see. But he's been missing the bulk of the fall and going into winter. Brittany Sarpy only had 4 episodes this year as Elena Dawson, and she most recently had one in November. That was her final episode when she exited again. She was tending to Phyllis Summers after the car crash that gave her a head injury that she presumed Sharon ran her off the road for. Otherwise, we just haven't had Dr. Elena around at all. They're just not writing for her. And since she's on recurring status, she is busily pursuing other projects. Similarly, we haven't seen Judah Mackey as Connor Newman since Thanksgiving week. I'm sure he's not gone for good, but a lot of his OCD storyline was off screen. It was very hit and miss with his appearances this year. And Katie and Johnny are rarely seen either, so I just don't expect too much of him. I see people asking, where's Christian Newman? He's going to come back when he's in high school or something. We never see that kid either. Another exit late this year was Lyndon Ashby as Cameron Kirsten. So he was back as part of Sharon's PCP-fueled delusions to torment her leading up to the night Heather died. And even after that, he tormented her about framing Daniel and confessing to Nick. And we had a whole lot of Cameron Kirsten, and Portland and Ashby had to do all of these appearances in that bloody shirt. I wonder if they had just one bloody shirt he had to keep re-wearing, or if they had several of them with identical blood stains, because he had that terrible beard. He didn't even look clean, and that was probably a lot of fun in the makeup chair. And once Sharon got on new meds, then we just stopped seeing Cameron in his bloody shirt abruptly. He vanished into thin air, and I doubt we're going to be seeing him again, at least, I mean, he's dead and her brain's cleared up, so I'm assuming Lyndon is gone for good. In and out in November were Shanae Lawson and Lauren Lott as Yolanda and Anna Hamilton. They were in town for 3 episodes for Abby and Devon's wedding, and then they said goodbye. And by the way, Abby actress Melissa Ordway is down to recurring status, and she's going to be seen a lot less in 2025 unless something changes to pull her back onto the front burner. Melvin Robert was in and out as the Reverend that married Devon and Abby, also in November. Our final exit to discuss for 2024 is Jess Walton as Jill Abbott. She showed up live and in person in November at Abby's wedding, but the bulk of Jess's appearance in 2024 have been her literally phoning it in. She's been doing phone calls from her ranch. She doesn't even live in California anymore. And so it was a big treat to get her back in November as she sold off Chancellor to Victor, and she betrayed Billy, she betrayed Lily, and he blew up at her. And this kind of feels like the end of an era, because then in December, Jess was back to phoning it in, when Jill called her son Billy after she finalized the sale of Chancellor to Victor and he was packing up his office. Jess Walton was already on recurring status, and I do expect to see a whole lot less of her in 2025, since now she's got no business ties anymore with the sale of Chancellor. It feels like that the head writer, Josh Griffith, was winding down Jess Walton's run across the board. And of course, Billy has disowned all the Abbotts and disowned his mother. So maybe the end of an era, but hopefully we haven't seen the very last of Jill. But I don't know what storyline would bring her back at this point.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.